Hey guys, welcome to AP Chemistry. I know many of you already know who I am. You either had me last year, maybe the year before, or you had Coach K or Miss Lava one of those years. And so you've seen me around. I'm really excited that you decided to take AP Chemistry. It's a challenging course, but we have lots of fun and we learn a lot along the way. Um, so for those of you that maybe don't know me, just a little about myself. Been at Heath for almost 10 years now and been married for 13. My husband and I we have three boys, Eli, Noah, and Jonah, and you'll hear lots of fun stories about their shenanigans because they are crazy. And we actually have a little girl on the way. So what that means for you is that I will be with you until about February. Then I'll take a few weeks off and come back right after spring break, and then we'll finish out the year, get you ready for that AP test, which is in early May. So now I just want to take a minute to, again, say welcome, and then I'm going to talk you through the syllabus a little bit. So I look forward to seeing you guys, whether it's through the screen or in person on our face-to-face days, and it's going to be exciting. All right, so let's take a quick look at the syllabus. There's lots of information here, but there's a lot of other places where you can find much of this information. First off, we do use a textbook in this class, so you will be getting one checked out to you. I've linked the Google form for that checkout to a couple different places. So here is one of those places you can click on that and it'll take you to a form where you can request a textbook, and then the textbook people will get that to my room so I can pass those out to you. If you're a remote only person, go ahead and click that link also and fill out the request form, and then you'll just have to come to campus one day to pick up your book. There are a few different ways to contact me. There's my email, and then there is the link to my website, which since we're doing everything in Canvas, there's really not any reason to go to the website. Not sure if I'll be using the Remind, but just so I have the option, as we're starting to learn more and more about Canvas and how you get notifications and stuff, it may not be necessary for me to use Remind. But go ahead and sign up for it anyways, and that way if I need to send a quick message and that's maybe the most convenient way, then that'll be something I can do. Same thing with UT Quest. Not sure if we'll use UT Quest again this year, but just make sure we have the option because they do have some good problems. It's a great way to practice some of the stuff you learn in class. Go ahead and register for that course. If you have questions or have forgotten how to do that, then just let me know and we can work through that. We will be using AP Classroom. So if you're new to AP, it's kind of what the College Board houses all their stuff. So I attached a link to some instructions where it tells you what to do to get signed up for your course, and it asks for a class code for AP Classroom. So for 6th period, there's your class code. If you're in 7th period, there's your class code. You will have to get registered in AP Classroom in order to register for an exam. So make sure that you're registered here, as well as taking care of that total registration stuff that will probably be coming from the counselors to pay for your AP exams for this year. So we cover a lot of stuff, and some of the stuff in the syllabus is just required information from College Board. So they group all of our content into what they call 4 big ideas. There they are. There are 6 science practices that kind of fall under those big idea umbrellas. Required materials for this class, just the normal stuff, pen, pencil, something to write in, something for, I call this handouts, but I guess I won't be really handing anything out. But if there's anything that you print out that you want to keep handy, just some way to organize that kind of stuff. You're going to need your own scientific calculator or graphing calculator. I will not be able to give a class set this year, so you'll want to have your own. Scientific calculator is sufficient. However, there are some shortcuts that I can teach you in some future units where you can use the graphing functions to visualize some concepts a little easier. And so if you have a graphing calculator, that's awesome, but don't feel like you have to go buy one. A scientific calculator is more than sufficient, and they're about $10. And then for anyone who's doing in-person instruction, again, just for sanitation reasons, we're not going to have a class set of goggles. So you can grab yourself a pair of goggles. You can get them on Amazon for like less than $5, or Home Depot and Lowe's. Usually you can get them in maybe the paint department or like the lawn care department, and they're pretty cheap. So just get yourself your own pair of goggles, and then maybe towards the end of the year we can tie-dye them or something. Grading, pretty standard for what we're used to in honors level courses. Late work, all of that stuff is straight out of the grading policy. Exams, not entirely sure how exams are going to look yet. More than likely, you will be getting a free response exam, and then I'll have you submit, like you'll handwrite out your answer and then submit that back to Canvas. We'll get lots of practice with that, and then we'll figure out a way to practice the multiple choice questions as we go. Test redo. This is something that's kind of different for my class. Because it's my goal to make sure you're exposed to the material as often as possible, I give everyone an opportunity to retake an exam no matter what your grade was, meaning you don't have to fail the test to be eligible to retake the test. I will take the two grades and average them together as long as it makes your grade increase and not get lower. But you will have to do corrections and any kind of remediation before you can do that retest. So everyone will have basically the opportunity to take a test twice and average the two grades together, no matter what your grade was, because I just think my philosophy is the more you're exposed to the material, the better off you're going to be. We're also going to do these things I'm calling independent study sets, or ISSs. At the beginning, these will not be due before the lesson, like before the unit, but as we move through the year, we'll get to a point where I'll ask you to complete this before we start the next lesson's material. So what this is for each unit, I've selected a small number of chapter problems for you to complete independently. It won't be like we learn a lesson today and then we do homework practicing that lesson. It's kind of a summation of everything that we'll cover in that unit. So you can either do the problem set, the ISS, the questions, the chapter questions, or you can elect to summarize the sections of the chapter that go along with those problems. And I made it very clear, and you'll see in our kind of calendar here in a minute, so you can tell what problems go with what unit, or you have the choice of summarizing the chapter sections for that unit instead of the problems. But you have to do one or the other. Homework, you can expect some homework from me. We do a lot of practice in class, but I will assign homework problems for you to do on your own, so just expect for that to be coming. I also ask for a one-pager at the end of each unit right before the exam, where you just summarize all your notes into a nice, neat one-pager. Front and back of the page is acceptable. It doesn't have to be one page single-sided, but you want to, succinctly summarize key points from that unit and include any like sample calculations, graphs, or maybe any lab information that we used during that unit for a one-pager, and you'll submit those on Canvas, and then those are a great resource when you go back later to start reviewing for the exam. Lab reports. When we are able to get into the lab, I go back and forth sometimes with the extent of lab report. Sometimes I just give post-lab questions. Sometimes I ask you to write an analysis. So you can expect that to just kind of be varied. But in terms of lab reports, you will want to make sure you're keeping a copy of your lab submissions, because sometimes when you go to university with your AP scores, they'll request proof that you did certain labs so that you can get credit for that lab component as well. Next part of the syllabus is our schedule and pacing that I try and stick to pretty closely, because we have an end game in mind. We got to get to a certain point so that we're ready for the exam in May. So just some highlights here. I have given you the unit, the title of the unit, the chapters from the textbook that it covers, the length of time in the calendar that I plan on spending. The AP labs, AP has a certain number of labs that they recommend, and so these are the particular ones that fit within the Unit 1. These can be, just because you see 6 labs here doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do 6 labs in this unit, because a lot of this stuff we do versions of it in first year chemistry, and so you may or may not have already done some of this. These are just the ones that College Board suggests that we include in the unit. With hybrid schedule and COVID, labs are going to be a little more complicated this year, and so we're probably not going to get to all of them, but we'll do as many as we can. And then right here is where talking about those independent study sets. So you can either complete the problems, which are outlined on the left, or you can summarize those sections. Unit 1 is kind of hefty just because it's basically everything important that you need to remember from first year chemistry. And then in Unit 2, we start getting into the new stuff. So that's why there's quite a bit here. So this particular ISS, I'm not going to take up until September 11th, which is right around the time we're going to have an exam for Unit 1, right around the end. But as we move on, you see the problem sets, the ISSs get a lot shorter. And so that's definitely something that you could be doing in preparation for starting the unit. So before the unit starts. And I'll give you lots of advance warning about when those things are due. Down here, my goal is to finish with all curriculum around April 1st. I'll be out doing the maternity thing right in here, so molecular theory. So you guys will get an awesome sub to help you through that section. Then I'll be back right around the end of spring break, maybe the week after, to help us finish out our curriculum, and then to make sure we're good and reviewed up for our exam, which is Friday, May 7th at 8 a.m., assuming that they don't change anything in response to COVID. So here I just outline all the different labs that College Board suggests that we complete. Like I said, some of these things we were able to do like a version of in first year chemistry, some of them not. We'll get to as many of these things as we can as we go. And then just some general test information as it pertains to the AP chemistry test. Again, it is Friday, May 7th at 8 a.m. It is 2 parts. We got a multiple choice and a free response section. Multiple choice and free response are both equally weighted, so 50% each. In the multiple choice section, there are 60 questions and you get 90 minutes. You do not get to use a calculator. So one of the things that I try and train you guys on is being really competent in your mental math, because you can't use a calculator on those multiple choice questions. The free response section is typically consists of 3 long and 4 short free response questions. You get 105 minutes. You do get to use a calculator for the entire section, for the entire free response calculator, free response section. And that's where we'll spend a lot of our time practicing, because that's where I think most students do pretty good on multiple choice, but the free response is where sometimes it can bite you. But I'll teach you lots of good test strategies to make sure that we maximize our points. So that is the end of the syllabus, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.